symbol and yeah, anyway.
This is right, this is wrong.
Yeah, okay. Welcome everyone to the May 9th, 2023 Special City Council meeting. Please let the record reflect that all council members are present with the exception of Councilmember Nadolski and Councilmember Lopez who have asked to be excused. Let's start this evening with the Pledge of Allegiance with Vice Chair Ritchie.
Thank you. Please stand and join me if you're able. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now please join us for a moment of silence. Thank you all. Any acknowledgements from council members this evening? Any acknowledgements? Well, I would just like to acknowledge that we've got off to a great start with our budget discussion in the work session. Thanks to everyone for all their preparation for that. Up first on third on our agenda is the public hearing for the proposed fiscal year 2023 to 24 annual action plan. And we will invite those folks in the back of the room, both Kathy Fuentes, the project coordinator, and Jeremy Smith, community development manager for community economic development. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jeremy Smith. I'm the Division Manager in Community Development, and excited to be here tonight to talk to you about our annual action plan for fiscal year 2024. So this is the fourth year of our 5-year consolidated plan implementation of the annual action plan. Tonight we're going to be talking about the budget for our HUD funds that come from a couple grants that we have funded by HUD. And we outline our goals as well as the budget for this next upcoming fiscal year. The first grant is the Community Development Block Grant, also known as CDBG. The entitlement award for the upcoming year is $1,016,867. The approved eligible activities for this money are housing rehab, public improvements, economic development, job creation and retention, microenterprise assistance, slum and blight alleviation. And then 20% of this grant can be used for program administration. We have another grant here, CDBG CV, which is a one-time awarded grant in response to the coronavirus. That was first awarded in fiscal year 2021. $947,104. The carryover estimate for that is $585,168. It's basically the remaining amount. The eligible activities for this grant are economic development, job creation and retention, and microenterprise assistance. With this grant, all the regulations that apply to CDBG also apply to this as well, and there are some additional regulations here stated it's 100% must be used to prevent, prepare for, and respond to the coronavirus pandemic. And then there's also analysis of duplication of benefits just to make sure that there isn't another source out there already addressing those needs. The second one, or the next one, is the Home Investment Partnership Grant, also known as HOME. The entitlement award for this is $399,043 for fiscal year 24. For this grant, 100% of the money must be used to benefit low to moderate income households with housing benefits. The eligible activities under our current consolidated plan are housing rehabilitation, new housing construction, down payment assistance. And then 15% of this entitlement must be used as set-aside funds for a community development housing organization, also known as a CHOTO project. and 10% of this grant can be used for program administration. Here's a breakdown of the different funds that I just have gone over. The entitlement funds coming in the next fiscal year will combined of each of these grants is $1,415,910,000. Anticipated entitlement carryover is $3,207,576. The anticipated program income is $1,441,346. And then this is how that money is programmed into our goals for the upcoming fiscal year. Under the Quality Neighborhood HUD-funded projects, the federal money under the Quality Neighborhoods program is budgeted $3,400,326. The source of that is both CDBG and home funds. The goal would be to purchase and rehabilitate 5 homes and 1 new home to be built, and there would be 1 CHOTO project every other year as part of that. The target area public improvements, which typically means sidewalk removal and replacement and other public improvements in the right-of-way, is budgeted for $500,000. That's CDBG money, and 1 project is proposed for that for the year. Our Ogden program would receive $250,000 of home funds. The goal would be 20 low to moderate income households receive down payment assistance loans. Our next program is emergency home repair. $40,000 of CDBG money is proposed for that. That would be applied to 5 emergency repair loans to low-income homeowners. And then administration funds of $489,338 of both CDBG and home funds would be used for the administration of those programs. For the business development fiscal year budget and programs, first program is Special Economic Development Project. $100,000 of CDBG is proposed, which would address a goal of 1 project every other year. Microenterprise loan programs of $300,000 of CDBG, and that would address a goal of 10 low to moderate income microenterprise owners receiving financial assistance. Small business loan program of $400,000 of CDBG. That's 8 full-time employment jobs created and retained. The Business Recovery Funds jobs of $158,197 CDBG CV as the fund for that. 5 full-time jobs created or retained. And then the Business Recovery Fund for microenterprises, $342,550, also a CDBG CV. 5 low to moderate income microenterprises owners receiving financial assistance with that. And then the administration of CDBG CV, budget of $84,421,000. And then this is just an overall summary of all the programs and the funds that are assigned to them. And during our public comment period, we did receive a couple comments, both in support of our programs, shown here. And then this is the schedule for the annual action plan. Public comment period was from April 9th to May 8th. So concluding yesterday, the public hearing is what we're doing tonight. The tentative, or tonight is May 9th, May 9th, 2023. Upon approval, we would submit that to HUD by May 15th, 2023. Those funds then become available on July 1st, the first day of the fiscal year. And then if needed, we would do an amendment, which typically happens or starts to happen in the fall of 2023. And that concludes my presentation for the annual action plan. Happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Any questions?
I wanted to know if you'd just spend just a second and explain the difference between the HELP program and the HOME program.
Sure. Yeah, HELP is our Home Exterior Loan Program. So that's an acronym for program. That's not a federal program. We use non-federal dollars to help people get loans to do renovations on their home. We do everything from fix roofs, sewer replacements, this type of things, and it's done as a loan. They do pay that back, but it's typically at a lower interest rate than they could find in other places. So it's competitive, and it's a great program to help people improve their homes. And so The difference, what was the other one you want to know between? Just home? So home is, it's actually a grant. So that home funds are the entitlement grant we receive annually based on this, and those are applied towards things like Own in Ogden. We also rehab homes with that money. We buy and purchase and fix up and then resell through our program, our rehab and resell program. So those are the difference. Those are federal dollars, that home money
I
is.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's just, I get them,
Yeah.
the acronyms confuse all.
There are a lot of acronyms, especially when you're dealing with HUD, and that's, yeah, I'm still trying to figure them all out. They give us new ones every year.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Any other questions from council? Okay, great.
Okay.
Well, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. If anyone would like to speak to this item in particular, you can step up to the podium and state your name for the record. And if you're online, you would raise your hand. Looks like we have one hand raised online. Anyone in the audience like to speak this item? Seeing none, we can go ahead and go online to Angel Castillo, I think. In one moment. No worries. I'm trying to talk very slowly. I could probably do a better job. There you go. I think you're free to speak.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Good evening. Angel Castillo, Ogden resident. We have so many great things going on with Ogden, especially the programs that we have for Own in Ogden and the home program. We've done some really fantastic work, and I'm very supportive of the program. Here's the however. We are continuing to do the same thing and expect a different result. We all know that the starter home price is much higher than it should be to get people into homes, but yet we are not changing the model. We're not changing some zoning, allowing for smaller home units to be purchased, because I know that we are driven and many people really want to be able to get into home ownership. And so here we are again this year, just like we were last year, where this happens right before the deadline, where there are no work groups, no discussions about how we can connect with different agencies to do different ideas, to reimagine what first-time home ownership looks like. And so obviously, you're going to have to pass this because we want to make sure we're using that money and we're moving forward. But I'm challenging you all as a body, the governing body that approves this, to really drive staff and administration to do something different, because innovation doesn't lie in doing the same thing over and over. That's not how you get groundbreaking results. And that's what we need. We have to work harder to get people into home ownership so that they build equity, so that they have prosperity, and they move forward with a great quality of life so that they can raise families, start businesses, and just enjoy the amazingness Ogden is. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on this item? Welcome.
Hi, my name is Teresa Bramwell. I'm assuming this is about first-time homeownership, so this is a great opportunity for me to jump in and give you guys some suggestions. The state of Utah just passed a new bill. It is called the SB 240, and it is called the First-Time Homebuyer Assistance Program. It starts on July 1st, and these are the parameters for it. The program is for new construction. It will provide a loan of up to $20,000 that could be used for any combination of a down payment, closing costs, or to permanently buy down the mortgage interest rate. These loans will have a 0% interest rate and will not have monthly payments. In order to qualify, the home must be priced below $450,000, and it must be new. So there's a $50 million allocated for this program and is enough to help 2,500 first-time home buyers in the state of Utah. Since I'm a real estate agent, I just looked up on Utah Real Estate how many homes qualify for this program. In Ogden City, there are 3. 3 homes qualify for this program in Ogden City, one at 615 South Plum Creek Lane, one at 1277 East, 1620 South, and one at 2250 South Jackson Avenue. So of the 2,500 first-time home buyers that Utah would like to get into these first-time homes, Ogden will provide them with 3. Here's the list. So what I would suggest to Ogden City in order to help people who want to invest in their own futures get into homes, because that's the best thing, the very, very best thing that can help Ogden City be a prosperous city, is to immediately switch gears and make sure that by July 1st, you have many more than 3 homes that will qualify under this program that the state of Utah just passed. So in the entire state of Utah, there are less than 340 qualifying units. So right now, state of Utah is trying to help 2,500 first-time home buyers, and in the entire state of Utah, there are only 340 units that qualify under this program. That means that there's over 2,100 units that could be built this summer to qualify under this program. I would like to see Ogden City come up with at least 2,000 of those homes, and I will give this to you. Thank you.
Oh, you can give it to Brandon.
Okay.
Then he can make copies for all of us. Thank you. Any other comments on this item for the public hearing? I'm not seeing any. If anybody would like to close the public hearing.
I'd like to make a motion that we close the public hearing on this item.
So I think, can I just have a couple questions from you, Jeremy, just real quick?
Oh, sure. No, this is just closing the
Oh,
public hearing.
okay.
Sorry. Do you want to do it before we close the public hearing, or? Oh, okay. Sorry. So a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Second. So we have a motion by Councilmember Heyer, second for Councilmember Blair. Sorry, I can't remember your name. To close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Any opposed? Awesome. Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
So I think sometimes I hear this, and I just want to make sure, because I think we hear a lot of, who are we building these houses for? Where are these houses going to go, and what price range? Can you again explain that these are for moderate income to middle income?
Sure.
The
So-
baristas and the policemen and, all of the other things that we always hear as an issue, but.
Yeah, absolutely. So this money, HUD comes with its own set of guidelines that dictate everything we do with this money. As I mentioned in the presentation, home is 100% dedicated towards affordable, low to moderate income housing, right? So every dollar that has to be spent towards that, and that's just for housing. It has to be benefited either through down payment assistance or building homes where they have to qualify and there's income caps. They can't make over a certain amount of money and they can't sell for over. I think right now we're at $380,000. So anything that sells above that would not qualify for those programs. That includes our down payment assistance program, anything above that. We get that number from HUD every year. We'll get a new version of that here in the next month. Typically in June, we get those new numbers. And so that'll project or those limits of where we can, who we can sell it to, and how much that homes can sell for. Block grant, the other federal program we use a majority of, also has that low-income housing component to it. They have a different view of it as far as the regulation. Community Development Block Grant is really geared a lot towards public improvement, so that's why we spend a lot of money just on sidewalks, those type of things, some type of things there where it doesn't always go directly to housing, but the majority of it does. And there's a geographic area that over 50% of that has to be done under the affordable, that same matrix that home goes under. So block grant is seen as a revitalization / low to moderate income fund. And so we follow all those regulations they're given for that, and then home is 100% towards low to moderate income. So does that answer your question? Or
Yeah, I just, I think when there's a lot of people that say it with authority, and I'm
Yeah.
not sure that I think they might be a little confused on that.
They are, and it is confusing. I mean, there's nothing more confusing than HUD and its regulations, right? There's only one man on the planet that understands HUD fully, and he no longer works for Ogden City. So I do have him on a red phone that I call and reach out to Ward once in a while because,
I would put the federal government and all of their stuff up against HUD any day of the week.
yeah,
So,
it's crazy. But it's the strings attached. They're entitling us with this money, and so we have to comply with those regulations, and we're happy to do it. It's a great benefit to the city, and it's a great benefit to people, especially in these low to moderate income situations. Yeah.
and then Ms. Bramble said something about using the funds.
Yeah.
Is that something that that a person who is trying to get into these homes could use that money?
Absolutely. Yeah, as long as they qualified. If there's a new home within the city, just like the legislature outlines, as long as it's not above that 400,000, they could qualify for that. They could even buddy it up with our own Ogden program and really get some help and relief towards the down payment assistance. So we've looked into that, and it is a challenge because there's such a small amount of homes that are actually in Ogden that would qualify for that. And there are some other challenges with it, but they're not, it is available. And I would agree, we'd love to see that become more used here in the city, for sure.
So
Great.
Sorry.
Nope, that's it.
Go ahead.
So I was kind of shocked, with her numbers that there's only 3 in Ogden that qualify. I know that there's, I guess my question maybe is, do duplexes count, or does it have to be a single family home?
It is single family, but I think townhomes would be included in that. Anything that you own it and the property below it, it has to be new construction or built within just the past year. So as
Or
long as
what
it's
if you,
coming
what
out
if
of
you were
completion.
contracting one today to be built? Could that,
Yeah,
could that
absolutely.
qualify?
I think that all is
So
considered.
some of these ones that where these demo churches are going, we just rezoned it to R15, 20-something houses in there.
Yeah, as long as they meet those requirements set up by Utah Housing and the legislature where it doesn't exceed that amount, and they have to have certain parameters, like it has to be their first time they've bought a home within a certain amount of years. So there are some strings attached to it, but it's very doable.
But they can double up on their funding sources and still use that.
They can. We looked at it. There's
okay.
no reason they couldn't use Ogden and Ogden with that grant, and we would take a position behind that. It's just stacking those options for them.
But no duplexes.
They can't use it and use it to rent something out.
Well, I know, but I mean, if it's a duplex for purchase. I mean, the one that was mentioned today in our work session, he was talking about an HOA. I assume that meant that they were.
Yeah, I'm not 100% on that. My thought is they wouldn't allow that unless it's not it wouldn't be provided for an income producing property. But I would have to look at that and see.
I think you're talking about though if the person purchased the duplex, it's just like a townhome, right? Or are you talking about?
Yeah, it was the one there by the UDOT.
Yeah,
They
so they'd be
wanted
purchasing
to build-
individual units.
Oh, yeah. In that case, yeah. I thought you were
like a
talking about
townhome
building
versus
one and
two.
running out half of it.
No. It'd
be like a
duplex
townhome
that
then.
the
Yeah.
developer is building and selling off the units.
Okay, yeah. In that situation, there wouldn't be any difference in a townhome, a newly
Okay,
built
thank
townhome. Yeah.
And then the other thing, my understanding is that you do a certain amount of outreach and work with an advisory committee and with other groups. I know that you've presented at the Diversity Commission and kind of collaborate with some other stakeholders. Can you speak to that just a little bit?
Yeah, I'll let Kathy talk about it. She's taken point on all of our community outreach, so she'll be able to talk to that a lot more than I would be able to.
kind of address the issue of like thinking about more innovative ideas or what's really needed in the community. That's a requirement, right?
Yeah, thank you. I'm Kathy Fuentes, a Senior Community Development Coordinator. I work with the HUD grants. We have done a lot of outreach. We have a whole list of different organizations, and recently our Own in Ogden Project Coordinator met with a couple different groups of realtors to just outreach, let them know what we're doing, and that we can double up with other programs that are available so that they can get our down payment assistance and other assistance like from the state. We also have partnered, one of our citizen advisory committee members, Mitchell Gars, is got some community connections with the Hispanic community and businesses. So he's been really great to get the word out. And then we also partner with the Suazo Center, who's been really great to post on their social media some of our outreach. So we've really been working at that. So if you have, we're always open to more suggestions on outreach.
Sure.
Great.
Chair, I have one question, and I'm not sure who it's, but I think the first-time home buyer assistance program is great. But it benefits both us, the city, and the people moving into our city. I was just curious: do other communities offer that same thing, or how many other communities do it, or those around us do it?
So at one point, Weber Housing Authority was doing down payment assistance for Weber County outside of Ogden City,
Okay.
but they are not currently doing it. So, and I don't know of any other city.
I wasn't either. That's why I was
Around
just
the area.
curious. I was just trying to shed
There
some
have been
light
a
that-
few that have tried throughout the state. Ogden City has the longest running one, and it's consistent. Like Weber County had one for a while. Their funds weren't renewed, and so it's no longer available. But as far as I'm aware, Ogden City is the only local city doing this.
But there is
at least within the
Utah
county.
Housing Corporation does do down payment assistance state in northern Utah, so.
Yeah. Like I said, I know a couple of people that have taken full advantage of that, and it's great for them. It's great for us as a city. I applaud the work that you guys do with that.
It has been a successful program.
Yeah.
We get a lot of applicants.
I just have one more follow-up question. You alluded, Jeremy, to the fact that we'll get the new numbers, kind of given to us by the federal government in the next couple months. But I remember us kind of asking for a reconfiguration of what those numbers are. Will we be doing that again this year, or how will that work?
So it depends. So we always get their numbers. They generate those for them. If we feel like they're inaccurate or they could be improved, then they do give us the option to do our own analysis of those numbers and see, like, we take all the data from all the home sales that have been taken over the past year, and it's a lot more current, and sometimes that's been working to our advantage to make sure we're offering our programs to more people. But
Right.
if it's a good number and it's one that we feel and it matches basically our own analysis, then we will typically just go with what the numbers they assign to us.
I'll look forward to seeing what that is.
Yeah, we always do.
Thank you. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Be happy to consider a motion if anybody would like to make one, unless there's more discussion.
Chair, I'll make a motion to adopt proposed resolution 2023-10.
Second.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Ritchie and a second by Councilmember Heyer to adopt proposed resolution 2023-10. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Vice Chair Ritchie.
Aye.
Chair Chaburka.
Aye, and that passes. Thank you both for your work. Great. Up next, we have public comments, and just a note that in the next 2 meetings, we don't have public comments. So if you'd like to make public comment this evening about any item to the council, please feel free to step to the podium, and you have 3 minutes to speak. And if you are online, you can raise your hand. You can hand it to Brandon, and then he will pass it out. Thank you.
Heath Sato, Ogden resident. So the Wildlife Center next to the dinosaur park. I know that's the mayor's purview, but we've been taught to feel powerless about approaching the mayor's office, so I'm asking you. This is a manufactured emergency. It's been made quite clear that this decision is at his discretion, not yours. But unlike us, you are not powerless. I ask you to use your power to negotiate. You have to approve the mayor's budget. You control the approval of the incoming CAO. I'm begging you to use your power to negotiate with the mayor. I'm not asking for games of brinkmanship, but this is important. We haven't been told why there's this urgent rush to tear down a perfectly functional 12,000 square foot building that we own just for more pavement. And just because this is within the boundaries of the law, it doesn't mean it's moral. It's not just or righteous in any way. This makes no sense. This is animal cruelty. Plastic animals over living, suffering wildlife. I know they've been given offers and they are ridiculous. All we've been told is that the Dino Park wants more parking and the mayor can approve it. 144 more parking spaces, parking that's needed a few days a year. The current lot in front of the Wildlife Center is inefficiently laid out. There's unused space to either side of the current lot and along the west side of the building. So what I handed you is a parking lot overlay I spent a few hours on in CAD because I care. And these are using parking code for full-size spaces. To the best of my abilities, I've laid out a lot that would fit within the area, a total of 145 spaces. I know it's not the solution, but it's an example of what we may not be considering. Please ask the mayor if it's truly necessary to put a perfectly good 12,000 square foot building into a landfill. That's close to a $5 million value at today's rates. This is peak government waste. The center does so much good for the entire state of Utah. Is this all just for one of a little more creativity, a little parking planning? What's the motivation here? What's the urgency to destroy what we should be incredibly proud of? This doesn't make any sense. I'm begging you to use your power to negotiate with the mayor, please.
Thank you.
Hello, Teresa Bramwell. This is a continuation of what I was talking about earlier, and I'm going to use all your own words to back it up. So what I would love to see in my neighborhood, particularly 25th and Monroe, I would love to see these 2,000 homes that are in deficit for these new home buyers, first-time home buyers. That's what I would love to see, people who are invested that have skin in the game. So here's your own words to tell you that you support what I support. Ogden City Blight Study, a welcome development. This is from September 15th, 2015. Redevelopment Agency established the Ogden survey area, which stretches from 23rd to 26th Street, Madison Avenue to Jackson Avenues. The neighborhood in Central City is considered blight, and that works to maintain its negative situation. Ogden City Council Chairman Richard Hyard notes developers are wary of entering into these long distressed areas. If they need assistance to boost their confidence of success. If Ogden can, through the study of implementation of recommendations, improve the area, we'll all benefit. The blight neighborhood needs work. Not much business there. We have a Rite Aid and a former IGA building that needs a grocer tenant. We need to envision that part of Ogden with strong, attractive businesses where residents feel comfortable walking, and a hub of businesses that sell fresh produce and other food. Create neighborhoods where residents can improve their standard of living. That's the goal. Better homes, better jobs, better schools, better parks, improved city services, and more prosperous communities. This will increase tax revenues and paychecks. It will turn Central Ogden into a neighborhood that people want to live in, rather than a location perhaps with cheaper rent. Thank you.
Well,
you agree with me. This one is Fox 13 on April 26, 2016. An Ogden neighborhood is being officially deemed blighted. Mayor Caldwell said under the residential development program, the city would look for ways to encourage home ownership and renovate many of the rundown properties. We really do need to build partnerships with the private industry, Caldwell said. So we look for the private to come in and make it an appealing place for them to want to do business. And then it goes on to talk about the residents that hired an attorney to not be eminent domain. Here's one in also 2016. It's a struggle for lower income people to find adequate housing in central Ogden, but that could change in Ogden. It's a difficult area, said Steve Erickson, a consultant and lobbyist with the Crossroads Urban Center of Salt Lake. There's a lot of affordable housing there now, in the sense that less than market rate housing. There should be an understanding that such a concentration of poverty is not healthy. And my time's up. Thank you.
Very passionate there. Any other comments in the audience? Okay, we can go online with Angel.
Good evening, Angel Castillo, Ogden resident. Rituals can be really cool things, like a birthday cake is a ritual and everybody gets to sing the song and you get to make a wish and you blow out your candles, and those are good rituals. And then sometimes there are some not so good rituals that aren't a whole lot of fun and yield a piece of disappointment consistently. And we have a ritual, myself and you as a council, every single year when we talk about the budget. Since 2018, every single time the budget has been presented and public comment is opened, I have stood before you pleading for public safety support for our first responders, to increase their salaries, to increase their number as they have on sworn officers on staff and EMTs and fire folks. Every single year since 2018, I have stood before you and asked you to prioritize public safety and increase both sworn positions and salary. And this work session that we just had, all of the departments of first responders stood before you doing the same thing. Grateful for the little scrap that took you 3 years to get for the Evergreen study, for a small increase in COLA, and we came across the line last year, but we were 2 years behind when they originally asked, and you asked them to just hang on because it's going to come and it's going to be fine and we're going to be okay. And that took 2 years. We have to prioritize public safety. The job of government is to provide public safety and utilities, and everything else is nothing but decoration, great decoration, wonderful things. Everybody loves some of the great programs that we have for quality of life and fun. But we have to go back and we have to remember, as we grow, if we don't have public safety, we don't have anything. Public safety is an economic problem. You won't be able to get all these businesses you want to stack downtown if it doesn't feel safe, if people don't want to shop. So I'd really love to end this ritual. I would really love not to stand before you when budget season comes again and not beg you to support our first responders. So maybe think about that and re-listen to your work session and listen to the plea and the pain in the voice of our first responders that take care of us and keep us safe, and honor that call and do the righteous thing and make sure that you don't fund something that doesn't pertain to public safety. Thank you.
Up next, we have Amy Wicks.
Hi, Amy Wicks, Ogden resident. I am asking the mayor and his staff and the city council to consider what's going to happen if the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center is not given a reasonable extension to find a new home. As you know, they treat around 4,000 animals a year. The other closest wildlife rehab group, which is an hour and a half away, maybe 400 a year, and it's done out of their home. There is no other place for birds and other wildlife in the area to go. And if they are going to have to stop taking new patients, which is what is going to happen if administration does not agree to give them a more reasonable extension I know Caldwell wants to get this wrapped up before he leaves office and leave this destruction in his wake, but that's just not acceptable. There's no hurry. I don't see any CIP project brief for demolition of the former animal control building that the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center is in. There should be, and I don't see that in this year's budget. So if there's not funding being publicly allocated by the council for this, what's the hurry? You know, what is the harm in letting them stay in their building a little bit longer, more than just a 6-month extension, because that really is not enough time. We all know there's zoning variants that may have to occur, build out of a new building, finding that new building. It's just not possible. And it's not like they can just go into office space or warehouse space. It just doesn't work. And so I'm just pleading, you know, unless you want to have dying dead birds showing up, I don't know where people are going to take them. Animal control officers cannot help. Your vet cannot help. Veterinarians cannot euthanize wild animals either. They can't touch them. They have to go to a licensed wildlife rehabilitator or people with the state, and there just are not the resources right now to do that. So I'm asking the mayor to do the reasonable thing. He has yet to meet with the people with the wildlife rehab. It's always been his staff. He's never addressed this, you know, publicly. When media asked him about it, he's not there. It's his staff. You know, either stand up for your decision or give them more time. That's the reasonable thing to do.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, any comments from the mayor?
Sure. I appreciate everybody's comments. We've listened to that. I've read all the emails. We've had a lot of internal dialogue about some of the issues that have been brought up, and that's still a work in progress, so I appreciate it. And I also want to thank Jeremy and Kathy for their work on the annual action plan. Those two work tirelessly on that, and I think it's a great resource to the community. And they're not here anymore, but I do appreciate everything that they put into that. That's a big job, and it's a dynamic job, and we appreciate everything that they bring to the table with that and how hard they work on it. So thank you very much. I'll leave it at that.
Any comments from council members?
Yeah, I have a couple. So we are venturing down and starting in the budget process, and I do appreciate Angel's comments. I do believe that we are very cognizant to what's happening with our first responders. And this is a open public dialogue. If there are services that you would like to cut back on, we would love to hear it. So if you want us not to fund, you know, the parks or the Marshall White Center or anything like that, we are an open book of what you don't want funded so that we can look at funding some of these other things. So I know that it sounds easy to look at one area, but it is a delicate balance from what the entire city wants, not just what we can do with just one department. So I agree. I think we are listening, and this is our listening tour right now. And so if there's some things that you guys don't want, give us an email, and we'll certainly consider that in the budget.
Thanks. Anyone else? I'm seeing nothing. Okay, great. Well, thank you all so much. Would anybody like to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Heyer, second from Councilmember Blair to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. We will just
To adjourn.
start our next meeting. to the May 9th, 2023 redevelopment agency meeting. Please let the record reflect that all board members are present with the exception of board member Nadolski and board member Lopez, who have asked to be excused. Looks like we have up first approval of minutes by board member Heyer.
Yes, Chair, I have reviewed those minutes and found them to be accurate. This was an easy one today.
Would you like to propose
And
approving
I would
them?
like to propose that we adopt or approve the
So
minutes.
easy, I forgot how to do it.
I'll second the easy one.
We have a motion to approve the minutes by board member Heyer, second by board member Blair. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, and thanks so much for reading those. Up next, we have reports from administration. We're going to invite Lisa Stout, our comptroller, to talk with us about the proposed fiscal year 2023 to 24 budget. Welcome.
Thank you, board members. On top of the city budget, we would like to present the redevelopment agency budget for fiscal year 24 for your consideration. Start with a.
Oh, that was fast. I mean,
Sorry about that.
that was going to be brief, but yeah.
Just to note, I believe that you do have a work session scheduled on the redevelopment agency budget next Tuesday. So we'll go into a lot more detail. This is just an overview of what's included in the budget. We do have an increase in both increment revenue and other revenues for the RDA this year. The other revenues that are included in here include interest, lease revenue, transfers between funds, and transfers from the BDO to the RDA. Here's a list of all of the active development areas. I did a comparison between 23 and 24. We've gone up in revenue this year, although 3 areas have expired. The expired areas will see an increase in general fund revenue due to those expired areas. We have gone up primarily because of Flagship, and then we were significantly under budgeting Adams Avenue development area. The 3 areas that expired in 23 include South Wall, 12th Street, and South Central Business District. The total revenue to the RDA in fiscal year 23, the actual received was $355,000. One of the things that has happened in the RDA for years is this rec center support. So we have the rec center in the Central Business District. There's quite a bit of debt attached to that. There were originally 10 areas that were helping to support that debt through a state law that allowed for that. We are down to 2 areas that are helping to support that debt in fiscal year 24, Fairmount and Lincoln. Lincoln expires in 2025, and so does Fairmount. The Central Business District debt will all be paid back in 2027. Looking at the cash flow to repay that debt, the area will be able to cover all of that debt with the support of these haircut districts.
And did you say that total is around 10 million?
Yes,
It's
and I
around
do
10
have a
million?
slide a little
Okay.
later on that shows that.
So Lisa, will you just go back? Sorry.
Yes.
Oh, there, sorry. No, got it. The other ones were on the previous slide.
The total transfer from the BDO revenue into the RDA in fiscal year 24, the proposal is $4.5 million. Here is a list of all of the projects that would be included in that transfer. And we did go over them in some detail in the work session just before talking about BDO allocation. And then we'll go into further detail next next work session. Any questions about this list before I go on? Every time the city enters into an increment agreement with other taxing entities, there's usually an allowance for administrative overhead and then a commitment to fund housing in the RDA. The amounts per increment area are listed here. So the total transfer to housing from increment revenue is $664,000. And the total admin transfer to the general fund is $242,000. That goes to support business development wages. The outstanding bonded debt in the RDA, we have 3 bonds left, a total of just over $10 million. They all relate to the Central Business District for the junction and the development there. In addition to bonded debt, we have 2 HUD 108 loans in the CBD area. There is just over $600,000 left on that HUD 108 loan. And again, that will be paid off by the time the area expires in 2027. And then in the trackline area, there is $2.3 million left on that HUD 108 loan. And then we have 3 loan payments, private placement debt, 2 with D.L. Evans and 1 with Golden West Credit Union that have a balance of just over, I can't read that number. Thank you.
Sorry, 4 million.
The Golden West loan goes out for 10 years. It's a 10-year balloon, so there's several years left to pay this off. The D.L. Evans loans, both of them are balloon payments as well, and we can talk about the plans to cover those balloon payments in our work session as well.
Lisa, can you go back one slide? I just wanted to see. I know, sorry. So that's what we that's what we talked about, is the recreation center to be paid off in the by 27, correct?
Correct.
Okay, the top one. Okay.
Yep. Actually, all 3 of those bonds will be paid off by 2027.
Yeah, okay.
We structured them when we refunded them to make sure they aligned with the area.
Okay, thank you.
Again, this is just an overview. The line item budget for the redevelopment agency is on the Ogden City website. If you look below the banner, there's a link called budgets. It's found on that link. And we look forward to further discussions. Thank you.
Any other discussion or questions before we consider accepting this for review and setting the public hearing? I'm not seeing any. Would anybody like to make that motion?
Chair, I'll make that motion then, that we accept for review the resolution 2023-10.
Second.
We have
And set the public hearing for June 13th, sorry.
we have a motion by Board Member Heyer, second by Board Member Blair to accept for review and set the public hearing for June 13th, 2023 for proposed resolution 2023-10. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Any comments from the Executive Director?
Nothing to add, thank you.
Board members? Any comments? Seeing none?
Motion to
Can't
adjourn.
tell if you're. One motion for.
Second.
Okay, a motion for adjourning from Board Member Heyer, second from Vice Chair Ritchie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're adjourning from that meeting. 2023 Municipal Building Authority meeting. Please let the record reflect that all trustees are present, with the exception of Trustee Nadolski and Trustee Lopez, who have asked to be excused. We're going to invite Lisa Stout up, the comptroller, to talk with us about the proposed fiscal year 2023 to 24 budget. Welcome back.
Were you trying to like rock, paper, scissors?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on up.
I apologize you've had to hear from me so many times this evening. Usually split this with Justin Sorensen, but he is out of town
You
this week.
picked the right week to go out of town.
Yeah,
I'm
he
kidding.
did. He did. That may be reflected in his review. The MBA most recently had debt for the stadium and for the Public Works building. Those debts have been paid off for a few years now. We keep the MBA around. We anticipate activating it again, possibly next year with the parking structure debt. For now, we are just proposing a $5,000 budget. Would simply be used for operating expenses if they come up. There is a licensing fee that we pay every year and just some very minimal expenses that are coming up in the MBA right now. So we would request that you accept the MBA budget for review. And again, it is online at ogdencity.com under budget finance. Thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah, just real quick before you sit down. So if we do do the parking structure, will it come to us as a budget amendment, or is that what
Yes.
you're thinking? Okay.
Yes.
Not, you said next year, but I just want to make sure it's.
Yes, yes. I believe the timeline is sometime this next fall.
Yep, okay, thanks.
Thank you.
I would make a motion to accept for review proposed resolution 2023-2 and set the public hearing for June 13th, 2023.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Vice Chair Ritchie, a second by Board Member
Trustee.
Trustee Heyer, to accept for review proposed resolution 2023-2 and set the public hearing for June 13th, 2023. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Any comments from the president?
Which always seems weird. So, yeah, it was pointed out that I'm the president of a $5,000 budget, which is, kind of mind-bending. But this is the only meeting of the year where my daughter Chloe, who was a student body president at Ogden High, got to be president for the entire year, but I get to be president for one meeting and about a 5-minute meeting at that. So I'm going to go home and text her and say I got to be president for a few minutes. So other than that, I have nothing else to add.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any comments from trustees? I'd be happy to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
A motion by Trustee Heyer and second by Trustee Blair to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you all so much.